Hey, what's up? It's Nick here with Living Rich. I am sitting once again in my lovely, lovely little garden. And it's just rained here. Welcome. Lovely sunny California. It's rain. we had a big tropical downpour that lasted for a while. Most of the morning, actually. I was lucky enough to be able to kind of like hang out around the house, do some cleaning, and not have to be anywhere really. So, today, I'd like to talk about presence. Mostly because I just watched a video on it. By Owen from Real Social Dynamics, and he was at a retreat for Eckhart Tolle, who's the presence guru. So like everyone kind of like learns from each other. That's kind of the trail of where my knowledge is coming from right now. But I'd also like to talk about other stuff as well besides what I learned from those videos. So there are a few different types of knowledge, and let's just break it down into two types of knowledge, and then how it applies to your life, and how you can see it in your own life, and how you can see it at play right now, and then use that to change. So the two different types of knowledge are knowledge that you gain from first-hand experience, and then knowledge that you get from another person, which is second-hand experience. And out of these two, most of the time, first-hand knowledge is more striking and more reliable, but second-hand knowledge can be super valuable as well. So, like second-hand knowledge, for example, is me watching other people's videos, reading books, listening to audiobooks. Basically, that includes, or just like talking to other people. That will be in the realm of second-hand knowledge. First-hand knowledge is stuff you gain yourself by wisdom, by things you've done, experiences you've had, and things you know to be true. Or even, I would say intuition is first-hand knowledge. Or if not knowledge, it's intuition, but it's first-hand decision-making capabilities. So, where can you see these in your own life? If I were to honestly look at my daily life, about 90% of it is engineered to have a purpose. Whether that purpose is the most effective purpose, or whether that purpose is the purpose that, or like an old archaic purpose that's been hanging around from an earlier time. It depends on the activity and the habit that I have in place. But from the moment I wake up to the moment I fall asleep, most of it is programmed to have a positive purpose, or that all of it's programmed to have some sort of purpose. Even the most negative habits have their purpose. Like, think about it. Like, people who do drugs or I don't know, have lots of sex. Not that necessarily that's bad. Not necessarily that either of those are bad. It just depends on their context. Their purpose for that most of the time is, a release, or relax, or to change their state, to get back into a more, positive state. So, everything from the breakfast that you eat in the morning, whether its purpose is to taste good, make you healthy, etc., etc., it has a purpose and a goal. And very little in your lives, or in my life, happens just out of pure randomness. And that's most likely that we don't even know where that is coming from or what the purpose is, but there's a purpose behind it. So that's kind of where you can find it in your own life, like in the daily habits, like maybe just ask yourself, like, what is this habit doing for me, and what is its purpose right now? Is it a progressive habit, or is it an old habit that I'm keeping in place out of comfort, out of release? Is it still serving me? And do I want to keep this around? I'm not saying you have to change. This video isn't really about changing. It's just about taking note and being present to the mechanisms that are keeping your life how they are. You know, a lot of times we'll have like one positive thing keeping a slew of quote unquote negative attributes in our life in place. Like, we have a job we like, but our housing situation or whatever, like maybe, yeah, so we'll just go with that one. There's a job you like, there's a housing situation you don't like, or even like a living situation in the part of the world you don't like. And instead of moving, you stay there because you like the job and you're willing to sacrifice to stay at your house. That can actually become exaggerated to where you may be keeping the job even though it's not even worth it for you, and you don't like the housing situation, but you're still there because the comfort's worth it for you. So once you know, and this has been my my personal theory, it's like once you know where your allegiances lie within yourself, where you put your values, where you put your where your values of your actions and habits are going, then I find it's much easier to like have like an internal realization and change it. It's almost like the pathways are clear, and you can plug, you know, different receptors into like different holes. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Do you really? But in order to see any of that, you have to be present to it. You have to be present to your daily habits. You have to be present towards where you're putting your energy. And you look at it, kind of honestly ask yourself, why am I putting it here? What's the purpose? Etc., etc. And then I feel like if you've done all this research on yourself, when it comes time to change, or if you want to make a change, I think you'll find that it's not going to be easier, but it'll be doable. Whereas what I find with any new thing that I go into, or with anybody who wants to make a change in their life, but they haven't done the necessary self-examination or proper examination of the situation, is that they'll go in with the best intentions, but without the best knowledge. And because they don't have the knowledge of what's actually going on in the situation, they get thrown off by an unforeseen circumstance. And most of the times they don't even predict the unforeseen circumstance. And because this unforeseen circumstance comes along, it throws them off so much that their willpower is just drained. They put all their energy into it, and then they're just put off. And either they have the willpower to start up and do it again, which is where probably most people have to start, because a lot of things you can't learn until you actually do it. And so that's kind of like the beginning stage. And you have to go through the same process again until you're thrown off, or till you make it. And like eventually each time you get like a little more successful and a little more successful and more successful. But I don't think people realize the actual amount of work or momentum or power it takes to change. Let's just call it power, because like power can come from an event happening, and it can instantaneously change your life. Like, you've heard of life-changing events. Well, something happened in their life where it just, like, a cord snapped and things became totally clear, and they were like, okay, I have to go this way. And like maybe they didn't have any other option, or that they just knew that it was the right way to go, and then so they just worked in this way. Gretchen Rubin in the book Better Than Before calls this like the lightning bolt habit. But she also says that while these are real instances and these happen to people where they can like totally like just one day go cold turkey on cigarettes, or one day do whatever, and go through with it, she also says they're very rare, and that like in all her research she hasn't found anyone to actually marshal the lightning bolt habit in a controllable way, or like where they can control it and do it on command. It's more of just like it's an unreliable way that you kind of just like all of a sudden something will change, and you can't rely on it. So the other way, though, the one that we do have control over is one we can consciously go and work at changing. And I feel like once you know your internal circuits and like what pushes you, what motivates you, and kind of your store of energy going towards or making something happen, you see it from a more realistic point of view. Probably because you already know what it takes to make it happen. Like traveling to Europe, my buddies, I've had a few buddies ask me if I want to go to Europe, and I've already been to Europe, and I know what it takes, and I know what I would have to sacrifice, and right now it's not worth it for me. And so like it's easier for me to see it from a realistic perspective, because I've already done it, and I've been there. But when I first did it, even then, like, I knew I had to have the determination of I'm gonna do it, even if it makes me bleed or not. Even if like I'm gonna bleed for my dream. And that's the point of view that is necessary for success. Because shit happens. Like life is very like how I feel like the world has its own agenda, and any agenda that you have is just like extra to it, and it almost doesn't care. But at the same time, there are paths you can go on to where they can be very, very fruitful. But it's almost like if you come from a selfish point of view, which is not a bad point of view, it's just selfish. Trying to make something work for yourself, and it's going to be very hard, because you're going to be going against the way of the world, which wants to make everything move in its own right. As you can tell, I haven't really thought this one out, but it's that's kind of how it is. Like like, in order to get any business started or anything going, you have to work really hard at it. And once it is going, it has to be for the benefit of other people. So, the point of this video is just, you have to be willing to bleed for your dream. If you really want it, you have to be going to get down and dirty and do the dirty shit, do the dirty work, and maybe you're not willing to do that, and maybe it's okay though. You know, I think that's something you have to look inside of yourself and ask, decide, and then execute the kind of life you want to live, and find out where your internal allegiances lie, where your power lies, where your motivation lies, and then go with that. That's huge. A lot of that's being honest with yourself. And the rest of it's doing work. Alright. I'm done for the day. I'll have to do the other stuff in my world.